His leg wasn't weak. He had forgotten how to use it. This patient recently had a stroke, and he told me something interesting. He said his affected leg felt numb, but he also felt like it had no power, like it just wasn't working right. After watching him move for a few minutes, I realized something important. It wasn't just weakness. His brain had stopped trusting that leg. My name is Tala Wickman. I'm a doctor of physical therapy, and I help stroke survivors improve their strength, balance, and walking using the walk method. This patient was walking with a walker and doing fairly well overall, but every movement told the same story. He was avoiding that affected side. And when the brain repeatedly avoids a limb, it gets less and less practice using it. The brain learns what you repeatedly practice. One of the first things I noticed was how he stood up. Every time he went to stand, he tucked his stronger leg underneath and used it to do almost all of the work. In this position, the affected leg is barely contributing. And honestly, I see this all the time after stroke. People naturally rely on what feels safe. The problem is, if the stronger leg is doing all the work, the affected leg never gets the opportunity to improve. So I changed his setup. I moved the stronger foot further away. Now the affected side had to contribute. At first it felt uncomfortable, it felt harder, but that's exactly what we wanted. Because if we want the brain to relearn how to use that affected side, we have to give it opportunities to do so. One of the biggest mistakes I see after a stroke is letting the stronger side do everything. The affected leg never gets enough practice. By moving the stronger foot further away, we immediately increase the load on the affected side. And that's when things really start to improve. After we worked on standing, we moved over to the stairs, and this is where things got really interesting. I had him perform repeated step downs while controlling the movement through his affected leg. I told him to lead with the glutes and don't let his knee pass his toes. Because at first, it was looking more like this. And he was relying heavily on his arms. But this movement here challenged his quadriceps, it challenged his glutes, and most importantly, it challenged his ability to accept weight on his affected side. Because a lot of stroke survivors don't actually trust the affected leg enough to stay on it. And if you don't trust the leg, you never give the brain enough practice to improve. After several repetitions, I asked him how his leg felt. He looked at me and said, "It actually feels stronger." Well, here's the interesting thing. I don't think we magically built a bunch of strength in one session. He probably had the strength all along. We just helped his brain access it. The goal wasn't simply to make the leg stronger. The goal was to teach the brain how to use what it already had. The brain learns what you repeatedly practice. For a week, the patient had been practicing avoiding that leg. And in one session, we started practicing something different, and by the end, he said that it felt stronger. Not because we gained new strength, but because we helped his brain learn to use the strength that was already there. Now I want to be careful here. Not everyone is going to improve this much in a single session. And if that's you, don't be discouraged. Recovery after stroke isn't a race. Some people improve quickly, while others need days, weeks, or months of consistent practice. And that's okay. The important thing is the brain changes through repetition. Every time you challenge the affected side, every time you load it, every time you trust it a little bit more, you're giving the brain another opportunity to learn. Progress isn't always fast, but progress is still progress. And sometimes the biggest breakthrough isn't just getting stronger. Sometimes it's simply learning to trust and use what you already have. After your stroke, does one side feel weaker or numb, or does it feel like you just can't trust it? Let me know down in the comments.